Well, a V Gaines crash recently here at the Carolina Nationals, and a track that's not cooperating isn't a big enough hill for the NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series to overcome. Mike, there's a new challenge. It's wet now, thanks to Mother Nature.
Oh, boy, we had such a good weekend. We had a threat of rain Friday and Saturday never materialized, and now we have it here. But there was a lot of discussion about what the options were going to be to try to continue the racing, and now they got to deal with the rain.
And that, of course, leaves crew chiefs like Mike Green scrambling for cover. John Kernan has more.
Graham Light, Senior Vice President of Racing Operations for the NHRA, has looked things over here at ZMAX Dragway, and they've made a decision. It's raining right now. Today's action has been postponed. They are looking at further options of when to continue it. But the one thing I can tell you for sure, Pro Stock Motorcycle, they will move on and be completed at Dallas next weekend. As far as whether or not they're going to allow the runs we did see earlier today in Pro Stock or just start from scratch at Dallas, Graham Light says they haven't made that decision as of yet.
And of course, there is further discussion about what to do with this racetrack with regards to nitro. Will we stay here, complete this event perhaps Monday, or will we be coming back in that 3-week gap here in October?
Well, the NHRA officials will have to make that decision, and obviously they're going to be in the best interest of safety, and it was not a safe track, at least later on in the first round numbers, especially when the Pro Stock cars started coming up with that track pulling up. That was definitely an issue.
Well, they have got V Gaines Dodge Dart, that Lazarus-built race car, the home-built machine, back into the pits. Now the challenge is trying to get it loaded on to the trailer. This is a Napa track fact, and something you don't really want to do a lot of, load up a crashed race car. Jamie Howe.
That's right, Dave. Clyde West and the crew, they did take a moment to look through the car, go through the extent of the damage before they made the opportunity and the decision to go ahead and load it up. V, what was the extent of the damage to that Dart?
Well, the front looks pretty heavily damaged. The frame has been compromised quite a bit, and of course there's probably not a stitch of body on it that's worth anything. They've been carrying it off all afternoon. It's very unfortunate, but we'll get out our old car, our Avenger, and it's a good car. And Clyde and Gary and Rick are going to have to work around the clock. We got to get home and sort out the motors and see what the damage was and what we could put together, and hopefully we'll load her up and be in Dallas.
That Avenger's the car that you started the season off with. It has 2 runner-up finishes already. What state is it in right now, though? It hasn't been raced in a while.
Well, besides having an inch of dust on it, and we raided some parts off of it, and you know, it's going to take some work to get it back together. Obviously, we probably won't have a chance to test it, so we'll put her together. We got a lot of good data on it. It ran good last year. It ran good the beginning of this year, and I'm hoping it'll come back and fight for the championship.
You've been in good spirits since I've been over here for the last several minutes. I've seen you shake hands, give hugs, the whole thing. But what was going through your mind when you were actually upside down in that race car?
Well, it's one of those things you hope never happens. And then you say to yourself, okay, it's happening. What do you do? Of course, when you're tumbling around, there's not much you can do. You're just saying, please, God, let this thing stop and let it be over with. So that's pretty much what's... It seems like forever. Obviously, it wasn't, but it seemed that way.
Having had never been in that situation before, what level of apprehension do you have now looking ahead to the next time you get behind the wheel in Dallas?
None at all. You know, if you're going to participate in this sport, this is going to happen. I did crash in 1997. It was a valuable lesson. I really wish I had a warning this was going to happen, because nobody getting down that lane. I knew it was going to be tricky, and I thought I was prepared for it. But it happened so fast, I guess I wasn't. And made a hard left-hand turn before I knew what was happening.
It's great to see you standing here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, everybody continues to ask, Mike, when are you going to get back into a race car? After seeing that, is it anytime soon?
Not a Pro Stock car, anyway. You know, it is part of the sport, and I like what V talked about. The fact is, whenever I had one of those incidents, I was always willing to get back in the car. But that first run, when we fired it up and did the burnout, it was a little bit nervous. But once I got under my belt, it was fine.
Those crashes bring everybody over to make sure you're okay, including Brad Anderson, checking in with V Gaines right now. Difficult track conditions and good old Mother Nature have forced the postponement of today's racing action at the Carolina Nationals. The weekend stop for the NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series. Officials still trying to figure out what to do with the nitro cars. And I'll mention the officials, they're conferring. They're inside of the tower here at ZMAX Dragway, trying to figure out what to do with the nitro cars. Mike, as a former nitro racer, what would you prefer? Stay here this weekend, do it tomorrow, or come back when the track's better?
Well, as a hired driver, I was lucky enough to drive for a number of very good crew chiefs, and I put my total faith in them. They would not put me in a race car in unsafe conditions, and whatever they said to do, that's what I would go with.
You hungry, Mike? V. Gaines is handing out donuts. How about that?
Wow, what a guy. Make mine one of those bacon-filled deep-fried donuts.
Oh, absolutely.
Goes
that
some of Robert
good. Hey, Mark
ribs.
Lyles, save some of that for Mike and I. We need that. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to flash back to Indianapolis as officials confer here today about what to do with the Carolina Nationals.
Welcome back to ZMAX Dragway, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, where we are still in a holding pattern. In fact, NHRA officials, among them Graham Light, Tom Compton, track officials, including Marcus Smith and Don Hawk, are meeting in a conference room back here in the tower where they're discussing their options. Of course, action is over for today. The one thing we do know for sure, Pro Stock Motorcycle will move on and be finished up next weekend at Dallas. Among the questions that we hope to get answers to soon, when will the Top Fuel and Funny cars run? Where will they complete that event? Will it be here on Monday or another date, another place? Also, will they throw out the first few runs of Pro Stock? In other words, start from scratch there. And if not, will V. Gaines be able to bring out a new car because he crashed his car here today? Now, for more, let's go to Jamie Howe.
Well, John, one of the drivers who had a stellar first round was Tim Wilkerson. He is in the countdown in the funny car class, and Tim, second lowest run of funny car so far this weekend. I know you had high hopes for the day. What are your hopes now?
Well, I just hope for safety. That's all I can hope for. After watching V's car crash and some of the things that we know, we cut some tires first round. We just need to do the right thing here. And hopefully we're having a conference up there. I understand. That's what I come up to find out, what we're all doing. So we'll hope, cooler heads prevail and wiser minds take the best route for all of us. But I'll stay. If we're going to run tomorrow, I'll stay. If we're going to do something different. But I just hope everybody makes a good decision because it just isn't worth anybody getting hurt over. And we were lucky we didn't hurt V out there. And V, I'm glad you're okay, buddy. We love you. And hope I can be in the next round and do some good. I need to take home Matt Hagan and send him home.
Good perspective.
Thank you.
Over in the John Force camp, let's check in with a man who literally has seen virtually everything in his amazing NHRA drag racing career. What are you hoping will be the outcome of this situation, John?
Well, we have to finish this race. Whether it allows it to be finished here, I don't know, or somewhere else. But we've got a real tight schedule. That's what's going to be hard, and the cost of going somewhere else or coming here. I don't know. Right now, the NHRA, and I got to say, they met with Alan Johnson and Connie Coletta, the people that Connie Coletta built this sport ahead of me. And they've all met, and they've talked about it, and they've made a decision on what they think. They haven't actually told me. They went over to the tower. They're going to address Bruton, and NHRA is. But first, NHRA at the end of the line always makes a call, and that's what they're going to do. And but you have to evaluate things. Car did have a problem out here, and is it the racetrack? We don't know. Some think it is, some don't know. So what I'm saying is, sometimes the people that run this thing need to make those decisions, but they also. We want to take care of the crowd, but we got to take care of the racers too, that nobody gets hurt. And nobody wants anybody hurt.
John, we saw you
How was
and
that
Alan
dancing around me?
Well, you were dancing pretty good there. But I saw you out there on the track with Connie, with Alan Johnson, with Graham Light, with other officials from the racetrack. What were you seeing that creates this concern with the racing surface?
Well, there was a problem with it, and they knew that before we got here. And NHRA and the racetrack addressed it to fix the problem. But you got different kind of cars, Pro Stock, Top Fuel, Funny Car. Pro Stock needs a different surface than we need. But you know, NHRA's not to argue. The stuff was coming out. Let me tell you, Bruton, Smith, and Marcus, they built the Bellagio of racetracks. That's why when I interviewed earlier how great it was, I made the statement, you know, and that even though there was a little hiccup, you know, in the racetrack, they're going to figure this out. And I guarantee you, I know Bruton Smith. He's the greatest promoter of all time. And you don't think he wants a bad surface? If it is bad, he'll fix it. Still dancing.
Still dancing.
But I just don't want to give an opinion that I really don't know about. And that's the God's truth. I'm saying that we met with Schumacher and a lot of people. For first time, John Force has shut up, and I've just been listening to all the opinions. And then you're sitting there and it starts to rain. Well, I think God made the decision. It rained today, and we know it's over for today. That gives them time to reevaluate their situation, and then they'll make a call in best interest. But safety is always priority, and that's how Bruton Smith would want it.
And John, when we do get to go back racing, whether it's here, whether it's some other track, whatever, your next opponent going to be Dave Richards. And I remember, I'm sure you remember what he did to you at Epping a couple of years ago.
And I'm going to remember that he's the guy that took out DeJoria, how whatever took place, she smoked the tires, whatever, and she's the one that took me out at Indy. And one thing I learned from that girl, don't take anybody for granted. Wake up every day, hug your husband, hug your wife, hug your kids. Every day, live it like it's your last day. Hey, that's a country western song. I love that. Live every day like it's your last day, because ain't none of us going to live forever. And you know what? My little trip to Jeremy and my little trip to Montreal got John Force right, because he got real stupid, started whining again today at the other end of you, embarrassed myself. No, I need to fix myself, and that's what John Force has always done. And God bless you. Let's hope all the right decisions are made, and they will be, and we'll be back.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
John Force, 16-time funny car champion, country music icon. Now we'll work on it. Time will tell. Well, the crews, meanwhile, they are loading up, at least for today. This is Antron Brown's Matco Tools team. They were beaten round number 1 today, so they obviously will look to Dallas next. But you know what? Kids, you know they still have fun. When the rain falls, they got no problems having a good day here at the Carolina Nationals. Hopefully all the answers to come when we come back.